Hello, I'm Tom Palmer and I am a children's author and this is my VE Day video for 2025 because as I'm sure you know, 2025 is the 80th anniversary of VE Day, which is Victory in Europe Day, the day that the Allies defeated Nazi Germany finally in 1945. And I've written quite a few books about the Second World War, and later on in this video, which hopefully will be about 10 minutes, I'm going to reflect on why I write about war and stuff like that. But the ones that I wanted to show you, my Second World War books, or some of them, I've done a book called D-Day Dog, which is about a dog who was involved in the D-Day landings. I've done a book called Arctic Star, and that's about the Navy. So what the Navy did instead of the Army or the Air Force during the Second World War. I've done a book called Resist, and this is about Audrey Hepburn, who was a famous actor who, when she was a child, lived in Holland, and she was in the resistance. So that's her story. I've also written my most recent one, Angel of Grasmere, which is set in the Lake District. But the book I wanted to mention today, and that I wanted to read from briefly with my, I suppose, the main VE Day scene that I've got in my fiction, it's called After the War, and After the War is a true story about 300 children who survived the Holocaust. They were in the camps, if you know what all that was about, and they came to England as refugees. Most of them were orphans, had nobody left, and they came to England as refugees. They came to live by Windermere, which is this beautiful lake in England. One of the things that happens is they go to live by Windermere, and they start to form friendships with the local people who helped welcome them as refugees, which is what should be done definitely for refugees come to this country escaping danger and war and other horrors. I wanted to read this short passage from After the War, which features these children who were Jewish children from Poland who'd come to England as refugees in 1945, and the family they go around to have a meal with are a British family who live in the Lake District. And I'm just going to read you a bit now. Here we go. The girls' home was in the middle of a row of houses at the far side of a large playing field, at the centre of the Calgarth estate. One story of red brick with a slate roof and a chimney. There was a wooden trellis running up either side of the front door, white roses climbing there. A woman was standing looking out of an open window, a cloth hanging down from her hand as she watched three older boys accompany her little girl and a dog home. She came to the front door to meet them. There was a smell of cooking wafting through the house. Yossi recognised her as one of the women who worked in the estate kitchen. He wished he could remember her name. Yossi noticed tomato plants. I'm just going to stop here because I have some tomato plants on the window. In fact, I'll just show you. These are my tomato plants. There you go. That we're growing this year, kind of in honour of that part in the story, really. And here are some tomatoes which haven't grown on our tomato plants yet because it's too early in the year. Back to the story. Yossi noticed tomato plants growing on the insides of the windows. The sharp scent of the plants shook him. His mother used to grow tomatoes. On the table was a large wooden radio with a white and red dial at the centre. I found the most old-fashioned radio I could find to show you, to sort of to create that vibe. He had one of those at home too. He hadn't thought about it for 6 years. The memory shocked him. "Ah, you found Dad's bicycle," the woman said, joined by a second woman who was alongside her now. "And Spot," she said, naming the dog. "Where's he been all morning?" Mordecai translated for Yossi and Leo. "Sorry, bicycles," Leo said quickly in English. The woman smiled. Mordecai patted his friend on the back, impressed that Leo had picked up so much English in just 1 week. "We are Mordecai, Yossi and Leo," he told her. "I'm Dorothy," the woman said. "Hello again and welcome. This is Joan, my sister, and your new friend, my daughter, is Joyce," she added, ruffling the girl's hair. Leo put his hand out into his bag, causing the dog to sit obediently and to stare into his eyes. Leo took out his jar of jam and gave it to Dorothy. Yossi noticed her frown, confused at first. She would know this jam was from the estate kitchen. Jam, she stifled a laugh. Jam, Leo said seriously. Then she spoke to Mordecai. How do I say thank you in your language, she asked. Hang on, I've got to get this right. Dziękuję, Mordecai told her. Dziękuję, Dorothy said to Leo. Leo bowed, then looked through the door. That smells good, he said in Polish. Mordecai reluctantly translated. He knew what his friend was up to. Would you like some? Dorothy asked. It's scouse, like stew, just vegetables with no meat. With bread? Mordecai explained what she had said, and all three boys nodded, stepping forwards at once. They sat at a heavy wooden table, large brown bowls in front of them, steaming with vegetable stew. There was a photograph of a very young man on the mantelpiece above the fire. His face looked a bit like Dorothy's. Yossi wondered if he was her son, and if he was dead or alive. He decided not to ask. Seeing Dorothy watching him, Yossi pointed at the radio. Radio, he said, he asked. Dorothy smiled kindly, and then Joyce was talking excitedly. Yes, it is, it's new. We used it to listen to Mr. Churchill on VE Day. VE Day? Mordecai asked. Victory in Europe Day, when the Germans surrendered, Joyce chattered on, looking at her mum for approval. We had a party, there were tea and cakes, and we had long tables outside. Mummy made bunting. What is bunting? Mordecai asked. Little flags, red, white and blue, Joyce enthused. And Mr. Churchill said, in our long history, we have never seen a greater day than this. And everyone was laughing, then crying, then laughing again. Do you remember that day, boys? Dorothy asked, putting her hand on Joyce's head. Yes, Mordecai said, this is the day we were free. Dorothy then gave them knives and spoons, but these were ignored as the boys ate with their hands, using the bread to scoop up and soak all the stew. All this was done in silence. Joyce sat watching, then began eating with her hands too, grinning wildly. They continued eating. Yossi occasionally caught Dorothy and Joan studying them, both with a look in their eyes that Yossi had seen before. And that's a part of the story, and I feel quite emotional reading that out. I'm very happy to say, and part of the reason for that is there's something I just want to show you. Wait there, 1 minute, don't go away. Because when I was writing after the war, I was really lucky to meet some of the children who came over to this country as refugees and were part of that VE Day, that memory. And I was really lucky to meet them when they were much older men. Here, the 5 older men that you see sat down there, the men that I met. And I interviewed them, but I also talked to Joyce. So the Joyce in the story was a real person. And that girl there, hang on, I'll just get my... There you go, that girl there, she was called Joyce, and the dog on her lap was called Spot. And this is Joyce now, and Joyce is a friend of mine. I know Joyce and her family, and she told me lots of stories like that, and her family told me lots of stories that I turned into the chapter that I've just read to you. And for me, it was really important to do like a chapter to do with VE Day. And also for me, like VE Day, obviously, like we're celebrating VE Day because it's about the Allies defeating the Nazis and ending the Second World War. And for these Polish children in the story, the end of the war brought liberation and got them out of the concentration camps that they were being held in. But also for me, recently I was talking to another author, and she's a German author, and I've worked with German authors, I've worked with German illustrators. Some of my books have been illustrated by Germans, and she said that VE Day in Germany is a time of reflection, a time for calm and thought, not obviously not a time for celebrating. And this really made me reflect that VE Day is different for different people, and it also made me think about, and I don't have an answer to this. I'm not telling you what to think, but it really made me think about, like, we're celebrating 80 years since the end of the Second World War, and we must celebrate, particularly we should celebrate that generation that helped liberate us, and our allies, the Americans, the French, the Commonwealth countries who helped liberate us from Nazi Germany. And it's really important to celebrate them and celebrate freedom. But it also makes me think, us celebrating the end of that war makes me think about wars that are happening now. And there's wars happening in a lot of places, and new wars keep seem to be coming up, and it's something I don't even know what to say about it, but it's something I want to keep in mind while I'm this coming time when we celebrate VE Day. I'm going to celebrate it with my family. I'm going to go to see one of the beacons, the big fires that are lit up, and I'm gonna remember the people. I'm gonna remember the people that I've talked to and met and who've helped me write these books about the Second World War. But I'm also going to remember that, like, I don't write about war because I like war. I hate war. I write about war because I want to try and understand it, and genuinely want to try and stop it happening, and stop the sort of things that happen to civilians and anybody involved in a war. And that's something, I suppose the questions I'll be asking myself on VE Day will be, what can we do to help with people who are suffering in wars now, and how can we help stop those wars through whatever ways that we can? What could we do? How can we stop wars happening in the future? And how can we tell stories about war? And I think that's the one thing I do have an answer for, is when I write my books about war, I am telling the story of people who've suffered in war, and what's happened to them and their families. And I like to think that in researching that, I find out about it and I share it with my readers, and that shows how appalling war is. And that's what I wanted to say in this video, really. I wanted to read you that piece about VE Day, and I wanted to celebrate VE Day here with you as well, but I wanted to reflect on those things as well. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great celebration and time for reflection as well around VE Day. Thank you very much.